Hi, I am Krishna Raju, working as a open source developer for past 4 months in 10 Planet Technologies organized by Chip Kits. Today my topic is using cell editing events in Adobe Flex. Today my topic is using cell editing events in Adobe Flex. A list component dispatches the following event as part of the cell editing process: the item edit beginning, the item edit begin, and the item edit end events. When we write our own event listener, it executes before the default event listener, which is defined by the component, and then the default listener executes. For example, you can modify the data passed to or written from an item editor. You can modify the data in the event listener for the item edit beginning event. When it completes, the default event listener runs to continue the editing process. Item edit beginning, item edit end, item edit begin, item edit end. Cell editing event classes. Each editable list based control has a corresponding class that defines the event object for the cell editing events. The event class for the list and the tree control is list event. The event class for the data grid control is data grid event. The event listener for a list based control ensure that you specify the correct types for the event object passed to the event listener as following example source for a data grid control. Cell editing event classes syntax for public function myCell end event as a data grid event is to void. To create any private functions of a event listener are called in this method. Accessing a cell data and the item editor in an event listener. We can access the current value of the cell or being edited, the new value entered by the user, or the item editor used to edit the cell. To access the current value of a cell, you use the editor item renderer property of the list based control. The edited item renderer property contains this data that corresponds to the cell being edited. For list and tree controls, this property contains the data provider element for the cell. For a data grid control, it contains the data provider element for the entire row of the data grid. To access the new cell value on the item editor, you use the item editor instance property of the list based control. For example, I have already explained using a cell editing events in cell editing process of cell editor of row and column and old cell values and new cell values, and the message of cell edited events are displayed in a text input boxes by creating a data grid. Thank you for giving me a wonderful opportunity to explaining and using a cell editing events by using a cell editing process of data grid. Thank you.